What's going on? It's the RapNerd, and I'm here today to talk about a movie that I love and hold close to my heart called The Faculty. Now, if you follow me on my social media accounts, you'll notice that I did release a picture of the DVD recently, just talking about back to school in August. And for a little backstory for those who haven't seen, August for me is a great time of year. I love this time of year. It's pre-fall, it's back to school for us in the South. We start school in August. And for as long as I can remember, it's always been a great memory of mine, starting from grade school and even to going to college, because Columbia, South Carolina is where I'm from. This is a huge college town, so whenever it was August and people were going back to school, it was just like this hustle and bustle of getting back up early in the morning. And this is including college and high school. I'm referencing all of that here. The hustle and bustle of seeing school buses, city buses, the campus being full, kids wearing the latest clothes that they bought, the fresh kicks, the fresh outfits, all during that first week. Everybody kind of excited to still warm up, but everyone's ready for it to get cooler for September and October. Pumpkin spice and all of that good stuff is around the corner. Football, sweaters, all of this great stuff comes with August. While we don't do that in August, it's in the mindset of like, okay, we're going that direction. And you have people who still even indulge in like wearing sweaters and stuff because schools can be cold a lot. So all of these moments, it's stuck with me since. And since having a child, it's amplified even more because now my daughter, she is in first grade. So it's taking me back to that kind of energy. I take her to school in the morning and see the same type of thing, and her school is around other schools, so you see other school kids walk into class, school buses and all that stuff. So again, gotta reiterate, that's why I love August. And as I said in the post, every August I pop it off with watching The Faculty, because to me this is the ultimate back to school film. And I kind of just wanted to talk about why I love it so much. And I feel like it's underrated, even though I do think the people who have seen it think it's good, but I don't think it's seen by enough people. So for those who don't know, it's directed by Robert Rodriguez, and this is one of the films in his filmography that makes me put him in the favorite category, even though kind of his latest stuff has been a little bit He made bangers like this, and you can look it up and see what else he's done. But this was also penned by Kevin Williamson, who was on fire in the late 90s. And I think behind Scream, this might be his next best written movie, in my opinion. Don't quote me on that. I haven't looked to see everything he's written, but I'm gonna get into why the combination of these two just made this movie so well. So the first thing really is the story structure. I think the structuring of the story is done really, really well, and it goes into how it's written from Kevin. The movie opens up showing the coach being all mad and aggressive, yelling at the team, and we see this figure loom over him as he looks over, and it presents this mystery idea. We don't know what's going on from that point. Then it cuts to the next scene at night, and we see this coach again, and he's the complete opposite of how he was. He's cool, calm, and collected. You can tell there's something off, but he's not yelling and screaming or having an angry face. He's smiling, so that already presents like an idea like, what the hell is going on? And as you know, shit goes crazy. He chases the other teacher. And in this moment, we're presented with one of the scariest moments in the film. To me, it is the scariest moment. Something so simple that, to me, goes into what makes Robert Rodriguez so good, is he can just make a sequence that, on paper, probably doesn't really look or sound like much, but the way he lit this entire scene in school, the lights are off. The only light we're seeing is something shine from the window, so it's the characters and the whole background is cascaded in black and white. It just looks beautiful. The teacher runs in the room from being chased, and it cuts back to the door, and you see the coach running towards her while this black shadows and white light cascade through kind of like pillars or something, and he's running through straight forward, just blowing that whistle. Terrifying scene, excellently shot, excellently edited, great scene. As she's trying to leave, she makes her way to the door, and she's trying to get out by still getting chased by this coach. And there's another teacher out there who's talking to her like, come on, come through, come on, come through. Helps her through the door, and the teacher ends up committing some violence against her, right? And we see that she is under whatever hypnosis or something that's going on that the coach is on. So I feel like that right there presents the ideology of the movie, and it's followed by the title card, The Faculty. That scene sums up what's going on. So not even knowing what the hell is happening, you already know, like, okay, presented early on that we can't trust the teachers and the faculty because of what just happened. Something is going around to make teachers go crazy, but we don't know quite who or why yet. So the structuring, that one scene, that collective of scenes was like 10 minutes, and we were shown and given so much, and tone was set so much that we know what to expect for the rest of the film. But it takes the structure a step further when we're introduced to the main cast and the characters. And again, the characterization is amazing because in such a small amount of time, again, we establish all of the main characters and what kind of character types they are. You know, we're presented the nerd, we're presented the badass, we're presented the Miss Goody Two Shoes pretty girl who's a part of, you know, PTO and the school system, the grunge girl who's kind of an outcast, the good girl next door, and all these different characters. And another thing is this film actually casted actors that seem like they're rightfully of the age of these characters, which is not a common thing in horror films, honestly. I can't speak for other genres, but I know in horror films, they tend to have these 30-year-olds playing high school. I think even Scream does it. Like, of course, the characters aren't as old, but clearly look at them and tell, like, these guys aren't in high school. Here, they look like they could be seniors, you know? They all look that young, and I think that adds an even more believable factor to the film. So I think that I gotta point that out because it's underappreciated. I think when it comes to making a story work even more. Establishing these characters just allows the story to flow so perfectly. You know, knowing the personalities when things start to go left in the many different ways that they go. So you have moments when things happen to the characters and they act different. You never really know who is who until it's almost too late. So I really enjoyed it. This movie keeps that mystery up throughout the entire film. Spoiler alert, for those who haven't seen the film, this I'm going to reveal about what's going on. So if you haven't seen the film, make sure to come back after watching it. So, spoiler alert, the main entity in this film are aliens, and it's kind of an invasion of the body snatchers type situation, but just modernized in such a late 90s time. I think that this is one of those like time capsule films that as soon as you turn it on, you're thrown back into the late 90s, which is one of my favorite eras of period just living, and when it comes to horror films, it's like one of my favorite eras, like in general. So with that, you know, you had the real moody alternative rock soundtrack that laced a lot of these type of movies back in the day. It's prominent here. Some of them play out like pieces of the script, which I wonder if they were written in the script because they work so well with the sequences that we see on screen. Go back to the alien thing. I think it was really clever in a way to handle that, you know, this alien film, because it almost operates more like a slasher than it does a science fiction movie, and I think that that's what separates this film from these other type of alien films, because it's kind of these alien infiltrated and is pretty much playing the killer because they're the ones pulling the strings behind it. And then on top of that, once somebody gets their body taken over by the alien, this person starts acting like a slasher themselves, you know, going into brutal rages and violence. It almost is like disturbing behavior in a sense, where people just act outside of themselves, or even the crazies, if you will, but just with an alien. So I feel like that was a nice merging of different genres, but with Kevin being heavily over the slasher genre, made a slasher alien flick. So I really enjoyed that. And speaking of the alien, the special effects in here are really, really good. There are some aged effects when I think, you know, we put VFX in line, and I think this is when that technology was just on the come up. But for a lot of the film, they're practical effects, like the actual beast slash like alien that they were managing to build and put in an actual location. It's fantastic, and it makes the movie more believable again, and it makes the film more tangible in ways that movies after it with advancements in technology couldn't do. So I really, really like how they handle that aspect of it, especially when the alien is fully realized. Like, it's pretty shocking. One of the best moments to me was the locker room scene, the swimming pool scene especially, and the bleacher scene too, involving Elijah's character named Casey. And I love, like, as the movie goes on and we get through the main thick of what's going on and things are back to normal, we kind of see the characteristics of the characters that were established. Their roles kind of switch, and it's almost like a double entendre of being afraid of change, because one, the change of, you know, the alien taking over whoever it is, you're afraid of that, but also being afraid of change as a person, that sometimes you need to change this thing up to get to the next level. And I know that's like a small layer. It's not really, they don't double down on that specifically, but I think that it was a nice touch in seeing some of these characters change by the end of the movie. We see people dating differently now. We see characters doing different things that they weren't doing at the beginning. And a really, really nice touch of the film. And I found it to be even cooler that this movie felt very terrifying and violent, but we still were able to come out on the other side with not as many casualties as the film actually felt like. I think that was brilliantly structured and done as well. And to go back into like the school moments, man, like most of the movie takes place on school grounds, which is one of the things where I'm like, this is the ultimate back to school film, because we see different portions of the school and how it's used. Like we even get a really good scene of a football game, a Friday night football game, which is, if you know, like I know, if you grew up in one of these smaller towns in the suburbs or a college town, you know football is an event here. You know, when August hits and for the remainder of the year, football is one of those things where the whole community gets together and it's like a party, it's a celebration, and they capture it so well in this one particular sequence. Is one of the best things that really brings me back home when I watch this movie, is that scene in particular. So we have scenes in hallways, classrooms, hell, even if we spend a few moments in the faculty room, the pool, the locker, like all of these different things just make this one of the best school movies, period. It's a teen screen, and I just had to spread my love for it, and hopefully somebody else can find some joy in the movie like I did, or hell, even turn on your nostalgia to make you think about how it was growing up in school, whether you went to college or whether you just went to high school, and reminisce on those things when you think about this time of year, because I love it, you know. There are a few others, quite a few others actually, that remind me of this time. I have a list of these kind of movies on my blog. The link will be in the bio for you to click. It's about like 40 films, I believe, that I feel fit this time period good. But again, The Faculty to me is the best one, and depending on how this video does, I definitely want to talk about more. So if you like this kind of content, make sure to like and subscribe, and if you already are subscribed, it's much appreciated. And until next time, peace. RapNerd Productions, no capping, that's word to mommy.